Welcome, family. Today's discussion is on how we need to focus. Pretty much just need to stay focused and switch our minds from what the matrix has formulated our minds to be from little children through the educational programming, television programming, etc. When we self-reflect, at least when I self-reflect, I seen well, I did see once seen, okay, I seen the effects on all of that on my life, upon me and how I was thinking within this matrix. And I found it to be very disturbing, let's say that. And it helped me to see why I struggled so much in my life, why our children will struggle, because they go after our youth. Hey, bench thinker. They go after our youth because our youth, my good people, listen to me, what our youth can do. The youth are powerful. Our youth can turn things around once us as adults, parents, uncles, grandfathers, grandmothers, great uncles, great cousins, great family members, we can do is we can wake up. We can show our children a new, rightful, true way. Now, with this picture, I'm giving you something to focus on that I think is very, very big and very, very important. Because if I just say Black men, Black brothers, Black cousins, Black uncles, Black great greats, as far as the male side is concerned, to love and appreciate the Black woman here in America and focus on her. Focus on her. Focus on us, the Black young girl, the Black baby girl, the Black young adult girl, the Black woman adult, the Black elderly woman. Because that's all you really have to focus on, because nobody else is focusing on you and yours and what they can do to help instead of hindering you and yours. Now, I got a lot to talk about today and a lot to show, and a lot to share. And it's very critical. But I want the eye to simply focus on the picture or pictures like this, but in your mind, know that that's your liberation, that's your freedom, that's your peace, that's your God, that's your nature, that's you. But we have been deceived of it. We have been bamboozled of it. Have been uh, robbed of it. I wanted to start out by talking about, and then I would love to have a video on this, but I doubt if there's a video on this, or a similar video relating. But I pretty much have to work with the words I have. That's all I can do is description. So, what was done to us as a people is, because I sit here and I know that my life was supposed to be something way different than it is today. But they went in my past, in our past, and they affected it. They affected it. All because of a thing called gunpowder. They were capable of affecting, infecting, or effecting our lives. Y'all know the movie Back to the Future, when he went back to the future, and one small thing he did, it would change the future. Well, that's what happened to us. Our lives are not supposed to be this way. And sometimes I think we have to reflect upon that before we can move forward. Because we got to know, I guess the saying is, you got to know where you've been before you uh, can go where you need to go forward, move forward. And our truth is, we had inherited a lot, and we kept building and inheriting a lot. But once we put our finger on what is happening, and what I'm about to say, what is happening is, we would build a lot, but we wouldn't have our sense of awareness to things coming around to destroy it, to destroy it. Now we need to focus on moving forward and being aware of those things being around that are trying to prevent us from doing those things, because we have so much tricks of the trade going on. But I'm about ready to pinpoint some things out in a minute. But first, I want you all to understand economic envy, and how they have you thinking that our brothers were lynched due to a white woman. No, it wasn't about our brothers and white women. I told you before that they have that stereotype just so that the men to think, because you gotta look at it this way, brothers. What was the white man doing in Europe? Was he paying attention to his woman? The caveman, the fact that the caveman has a big old stick and he's beating his woman, he's having sex with animals, she's having sex with animals. Come on. Do you think that's important for them? Or do you think that's a stereotype? Because if they did care, why are they allowing it today? Brothers still getting lynched, but they're not getting lynched because of the white woman. It never was about that. If we look back, we see the majority of our brothers that were lynched and killed was economic. Gains in our community are about economics. It's about destroying our communities, making them look bad, keeping us in a sense of depression, keeping us in a state of fear through our music. So it's never about a woman. Don't ever think that. They have this thing saying that if you in war, you get the booty. They call it the booty of So you get all the women and the children of the people you defeated. That's a savage thinking mind. That's a low thinking mind. That majority of this stuff has nothing to do with our nature. When we look at what we've been handed over, we should throw it right back at them. We should not want to revel in this mess. We should never want to revel in the mess. But our people do, yet. Football players, mothers pushing their sons to be football players because that's what she thinks the money is. And she thinks somehow that it's going to, her and her husband think that somehow pushing their son to be a football player somehow is going to make them something. Kind of like the basketball player that just passed away in the plains. Parents thought, his family thought, until he married another. Kobe. Kobe. So that is not true. None of this playing their games, reveling in the world with them is not going to help us at all. At all. Especially when you look at how the laws are. It's perception. And guess what the perception of us is? You see, I never got how my brothers can allow a people's to actually make us into something that is in their minds. And this is what has gone on far too long. Far too long. But they've done it for the name of the George Washingtons, the Benjamin Franklins. See, there's been young girls murdered. There was a story of a young girl murdered because a white little girl wanted a dress, wanted her dress, was jealous of her dress. But we're in 2021 and we look at it now. Brothers dogging out their sisters, their aunts, the cousins, females on the female side, killing their brothers, the cousins, the uncles, the aunts, great uncles, great grandfathers, fathers. So this is the result of what I was saying, going back into our past and somebody messing around. And then the future ends up like this, right? So let's look at the things that we can do. What can we do? Okay. One of the important things I was talking about is stay focused. But before we move forward with that, let's look back at one of my Facebook videos because it was the um, same day as this video, but it was on Facebook and it was 2020, 29, yeah, 2020. Ooh, what am I doing? Share. Uh, Let me see if it'll let me. I don't have no slides, but let me go on and just Fix this, guys. Okay. They got all this new share screen stuff on here. But I can never get my Facebook video. But I got it here. And I so happened it came on the same time I was getting ready for this one. And I thought it would be interesting if we look a little bit at that. Let me fix it. I hope that you are watching everything that is taking place from a higher perspective at this time and not getting sucked within the madness. Because there's a reason they gave Black people, Black leaders that they did not ask for. There's a reason why we work outside of self. We were programmed, we were mind trained to depend on everything except for self, everything outside ourselves, and to degrade ourselves. Now, that makes for a very tough life of struggles, of battles, of a whole lot of things within us that we manifest in our society, we manifest outside of ourselves, and we keep giving life to that. We keep it alive through the fact that we don't know certain things about ourselves. That we don't know that our spirituality is something natural, and I try to convey that everything we do starts from within. And within is our universe, is our space. So that's how we know that outside of us should be balanced with inside of us, and that there is nothing different. But the way our minds have been programmed, and I call it magic because, yeah, it is magic. It's a form of magic that you do on magical people. On magical people that have been wiped of their identity, so they have no clue of what their reality is. And me talking is utterly nonsense to them. They would rather listen to the enemy or to those, even though there's really no enemy, but those that are in opposition to what they want, basically. All right, family. I'm going to stop it there. You can catch that on Facebook. It's one that came back around, of course. So let's go on to the next information that we want to look at. That I thought was interesting. Okay, this was the video of Ahmad Ahmaud Arbery's lawyer questioning, making a clever move. She was making a clever move. Hold on, let me fix this for you guys. Okay.
Hi, Ms. Cofer. Hello. My name is Larissa Olivia. I'm one of the prosecutors on the case, okay? I just have a couple questions for you. Were you personally the victim of any crime?
Not in over 30 years.
In over 30 years, and you were living in Satilla Shores for how long?
Since 1976.
Okay, so since then, you're not personally a victim of any crime, right?
Well, since 1976 I was, but it's been more than 30 years ago
Okay.
that I was a victim of any crime.
Okay. Do you believe that someone stealing is deserving of death penalty, Mr. Cofer?
Irrelevant, Your Honor.
I was not the question, Judge.
No, that's,
You've got a motion to make at this point.
I mean, that's the examination. We're done.
That's all I have for Ms. Cofer. Thank you.
And you go ahead and set that. I'm sorry, what, no, thank you, you go ahead and set that. Thank you, and you're gonna set that, she said that to recall? She is not subject to recall, thank you, Madam Lord. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get breaking point for lunch. We will let's recess for an hour. We'll plan to get back to the evidence at 12:45. Again, during the recess, do not discuss this case amongst yourselves. Enjoy your lunch, and we'll see you in an hour. Thank you.
It's all right for the third.
So hold on, family. Hold on, family, real quick. That question was. Hold on. That question was a critical question because the stereotype in this society is that Black man and Black woman basically, it was okay for them to come and steal our lands, change our identities, put other people in our place, continue to do the same thing over and over again as we see today in 2021. But through Christianity, they got us thinking in this mind frame that, and through law, of course, they got us on lock. They got our minds, mental states imprisoned while they do whatever they want to do to us. And we ravel. We ravel in it. We live in it. We normalize it. I'm not saying that we have to have emotions, but we do. When you ravel and you live in it, your emotions are something that are going to be there and be prevalent because we are more connected to the feminine aspect. Men and women, Black men and Black women. We are connected to that feminine aspect. And that is how we are controlled many times. But we choose to ravel in it, a place of where we are made to be weak. So what I'm saying by we need to be focused, we need to be untouchable. We need to move within our magic instead of allowing our magic to be used. So let's get to the next video. I'm sharing this brother's video. He did a good job on talking about the Black Caucus, and how they, we haven't recognized by now that basically, they're not something that is for us. But I tell you what I have recognized. I realized and recognized that they are put in place to keep us unlocked, to keep us entrapped. And it's time that we not allow it.
You gotta try Kachava. Kachava is the world's healthiest.
Did you know that in Maxine Waters' district, 14.5% of the population is living beneath the poverty line? That's about 25% higher than the rate in California and about 20% higher than the rate in the United States. Not only that, but 21% of children under the age of 18 are impoverished in her district. But she's out here leading the committee to close the LGBTQ wealth gap. Now, if you've been following this channel since Biden's been in office, me stating that Biden has done absolutely nothing for the Black community by way of meaningful legislation since he's been in office is not a surprising statement at all, because I've proven that over and over and over again. And it's also no surprise for me to say that the Congressional Black Caucus does absolutely nothing for Black Americans by way of ensuring that legislation is passed that meet the specific needs of the Black community exclusively. But even with understanding all of this, it still never ceases to amaze me the lengths that the Biden administration and the Congressional Black Caucus will go to make it a point to prioritize other groups over Black Americans. And let me tell you something. When I came across this one, I fell out of my seat. Because now the Congressional Black Caucus, being spearheaded by Maxine Waters, is leading the committee to close the LGBTQ wealth gap. Or to be more specific, there's no pride in prejudice, eliminating barriers to full economic inclusion for the LGBTQ plus community. Forget about reparations in H.R. 40. Forget about the black-white wealth gap created by 400 years of political and economic state-sanctioned violence. Forget about the George Floyd bill. Forget about all that stuff, because we got to make sure that we close this LGBTQ wealth gap. Take it away, Joyce Beatty.
I now recognize myself for 4 minutes to give an opening statement. Good afternoon, and I am pleased to convene the Subcommittee on Diversity and Inclusion for a hybrid hearing entitled, "There is no pride in prejudice, eliminating barriers to full economic inclusion for the LGBTQ plus community." In 27 states, there are no explicit statewide laws protecting people from discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity in employment, housing, and public accommodations. At the federal level, there are no fair housing or credit protections based on expressly sexual orientation or gender identity. This puts many LGBTQ plus individuals at risk, youth at risk, or at experiencing chronic homelessness, unemployment, or being unbanked. We are a nation of many colors, a rainbow, if you will, and today we will explore the LGBT community and what it faces, systemic barriers to financial inclusion and employment, simply because of who we are.
Okay.
Who is we? Can somebody please explain that to me? I don't know what she's talking about. We? You see, You will never see other non-Black congressional members go this hard for Black Americans on any piece of legislation that excludes.
And here's why, from what I gather, this is my assertion on why they want us to find ourselves and for us to get underneath these other groups around us. They want us to just blend into these other groups around us. Basically, this is my assertion. If you're LGBTQ, they want you to get in where you fit in. If you're Asian, like, they want you to get in where you fit in. Native American, like, they want you to get in where you fit in. They don't want just who we are, Black people, the indigenous people. They want us to amalgamate into all these groups built around us, basically. That is just my assertion.
Exclusively benefits us the way the Congressional Black Caucus consistently goes hard for everybody else.
What kind of meat is healthiest for your cat? It isn't lean chicken, iron-rich beef, or omega-3.
Today, we know it has been documented by a recent Gallup poll of 2021 that 18 million adults are self-identified as LGBTQ individuals. These are our family members, our colleagues, our friends. And every day, these individuals face bigotry, discrimination, especially when it comes to securing safe and stable housing. I joined with my colleagues to pass H.R. 5, the Equality Act, that would prohibit discrimination based on sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity in any area, specifically including unemployment and housing. This bill is currently pending in the Senate.
But H.R. 40 can't even get a floor vote in the House of Representatives that is majority Democrat controlled. Furthermore, of the 18 million individuals who identify as being LGBTQ, how many of them are actually Black? Don't let that go over your head, because that is very important to know. Because I'm willing to bet you that if you separate the white LGBTQ from the Black LGBTQ, you'll see that the Black LGBTQ have it significantly harder, as is the case for any and every racial disparity between Blacks and whites. Notice how nobody ever talks about that, the same way that when it comes to feminism, no one ever seriously discusses the racial disparities between Black women and white women. Now, these disparities are brought up occasionally, but not consistently. And being inconsistent is the equivalent of not saying anything at all. Now, let's hear what the leader of this committee, Maxine Waters, has to say.
Thank you so much. It now gives me the great honor to recognize the chairwoman of the full committee for 1 minute, the Honorable Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
Thank you so very much for holding this important hearing, Chair Beatty. The fight for LGBTQ plus rights is far from over. While same-sex marriage and other milestones of LGBTQ plus equality have become a reality within the last 10 years, this community still faces discriminatory barriers and financial burdens. For example, data show that individuals within the LGBTQ community often have more trouble finding affordable and safe and equitable housing. Across America, an estimated 20 to 40% of homeless youth identify as LGBTQ plus. Additionally, the LGBTQ plus community face difficulties in accessing employment opportunities and being positively included in workplace environments. Compared to other heterosexual and cisgender counterparts, I'm proud that this committee is ensuring that these kinds of disparate impacts are not tolerated. Thank you again, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Did you know that in Maxine Waters' district, 14.5% of the population is living beneath the poverty line? That's about 25% higher than the rate in California and about 20% higher than the rate in the United States. Not only that, but 21% of children under the age of 18 are impoverished in her district. But she's out here leading the committee to close the LGBTQ wealth gap. At this stage in the game, brothers and sisters, we are truly destroying ourselves politically at this point. Now, I understand the influences of mainstream media and all of that, but my God, way too many of us are so willing to sell out the entire group for trinkets. And with that being said, in comes Executive Director of the National Black Justice Coalition, David Johns.
Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. My name, as has been said, is David Johns, and I honor serving as the Executive Director of the National Black Justice Coalition, the nation's most preeminent civil rights organization focused on empowering Black LGBTQ+ and same-gender loving people, families, and communities. If there's one thing I want this subcommittee to hear me say, it's that while the beautifully diverse Black community is burdened by the problems caused by racism, Black people with intersectional identities are often confronted with additional nuanced challenges too often neglected and ignored.
For those who don't know, the National Black Justice Coalition is an LGBTQ organization in the same fashion as the Black Lives Matter organization. Here's how the con works. You see, if they actually name their organizations appropriately, like Black LGBTQ Lives Matter or National Black LGBTQ Justice Coalition, they wouldn't receive the same level of support, especially financially, that they receive now, because they'd be limited to simply the Black LGBTQ experience. And the problem with that is this: if you examine the history of Blacks in America, the struggles, hurdles, and oppression that we faced and continue to face has absolutely nothing to do with sexual preference, but everything to do with simply being Black. With that being said, the well of struggle and oppression concerning the Black LGBTQ experience is a little shallow, to say the least. But when you drop the LGBTQ and simply call your organizations Black Lives Matter or the National Black Justice Coalition, now that same well becomes infinite, with an abundance of history and experiences to pull from, past and present, for you to capitalize on. So when George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor get murdered, you say, hey, Black Lives Matter, and with that comes hundreds of millions of dollars that they don't take and put back into the Black community. No, they take that money and put it into LGBTQ institutions and organizations that predominantly benefit the white LGBTQ community, to which the Black LGBTQ benefits minimally from. Like I said, trinkets. Now, once again, I understand the many factors that come into play for why things are the way that they are, concerning the number of people in our community that are so quick to sell their people short. But that doesn't negate the fact that we're still doing this to ourselves. If you watch this video in its entirety, and I'll leave the link in the description for you below, there weren't any Hispanic organizations present. There weren't any AAPI organizations there. There weren't any Native American organizations there. The LGBTQ exists in every community. But the thing is that in all those other communities, they make it a point not to conflate LGBTQ history with the history of their group as a whole. They know how to separate the two. Unlike us, where we conflate the two histories and then everybody else gets to walk off with the benefits of that. This conflation of the two histories is very serious, to the degree that it completely undermines the Black community as a whole. And this has to be dealt with, but that's for another video. In the meantime, let's make sure that we put our focus and energy on getting these Democratic shills within the Congressional Black Caucus out of office. That's the main goal, first and foremost. These people have got to go. Maxine Waters has got to go. Joyce Beatty has got to go. Jim Clark.
Well, really, I don't care about all that. I just feel like if we're not reveling in it and we're focused on this. Hold on. Let me get myself together, guys. If we're not reveling in the BS, all that other BS, because it's always going to be a brought and sold Negro. It's always going to be a brought and sold Negro. Who thinks in their minds they're going to be sleep. They're going to be Disneyfied. They're going to be Tinseltown. Whimsical, swept off their feet by whiteness. So that's why instead of trying to look for pink flesh and blood brothers, why don't you look at this marvelous sight here? This is not your flesh and blood nudity that you get on Pornhub, but this is something more fresh, more green, more clean, more queened, more beautiful. And that's the beautiful pasteurized picture you see here of beautiful trees, beautiful grass, beautiful, nice fresh water, mountains, sky, beautiful sky. A portal in your mind that can be made. But we must be focused, family. We must be focused. We need to be focused on what we want. And we can build a portal. We can build a portal. We can build a world just for us, away from the madness. If only we can pull ourselves from the matrix. If only we can pull ourselves from the making tricks that them people do best with you. So this can be achieved by, like I said in the beginning, what you put your focus on, what you put your energy towards. A brother was on earlier. Let me see if he's still on. He was talking about the rappers and their trust and because Yuckmouth was saying that they were being murdered by other record labels, by other people, by well, I didn't get the whole gist of the conversation, so I'm not going to even try to go there with it. But now to get on Ethiopia's dam that they are making, right? Because you see that in the picture, which can bring mad opportunities for Nubian nation, Ethiopian nation of people. It can bring wondrous opportunities. But if we're just trying to be singers and dancers in their dirt, then you know what they say. You play in dirt, you get dirty. You're trying to be rappers, famous people. You're trying to be, well, no, let me sum it up this way. You're trying to be a star in their instruments. Then you come out shitty. But if you want to be a natural shining star, you have to embrace who you are. And when you embrace who you are, what you are, and why you are, you come into your true self. You let go of all the myths, all the tales, all the stories that they handed on to you. And you open up your mind to your own self realization that you have the capabilities that are beyond their capabilities. And I think that that's what in the 1920s or the 1919s or the 19 teens, let's just say that our ancestors knew about themselves. And they were able to build. Well, that's what we need to do. We need to build. Because we know that when we build it, a portal of a new world will come around us. And we can have a stronger mind and a more extended mind to know and to protect ourselves, because we'll be home in our protection, in our spirituality, in our truth, our spirituality. And nothing can break that to which we will build. Now, that should be our focus, and not trying to change our nationality. Because when you think about nationality, that's what's all around us. For us to go in any one of these doors when we choose, and of what they have created around us, these nationalities. But do we wish to do that? No. We wish to stand our grounds and be who we are. Focus. 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 Peace, family. And with that said, always remember true love, real peace, and the higher self within the soul. All you need to know is we need to focus and be as sly as a fox. Till next time, peace. Thank you, Bench Thinker and D. Calico, for being here. Much love and have a beautiful day, family.